taking us off TikTok, off of both platforms. So we're kind of tired of the mess and everything that we've been going through. So we're making sure that TikTok is aware that we're not going to continue to be in the same situation. We're not going to take this stuff lying down anymore. We're playing nice and we're still being honorable, but we're going to make sure that we go the way that we're going now. Shalom, Sir Stephen. Shalom, Sister Sonia. Shalom, JMT. And we're going to continue on our Sermon on the Mount series. So just to let you know, we're taking the actions that's necessary and getting ready to take legal action. Not because we necessarily even have to have TikTok, but we are about making sure that people understand our rights. And we've been talking about rights and legal and being sovereign and all these different things. Shalom, Sister Barbara, if I didn't say so already, I think I did. So just to let you guys know, we are still on track. And of course, as we get closer to doing certain things, once again, this is something that's kind of something that we're used to now. You have to be ready as Satan and others that work in the system that is anti-kingdom of heaven are trying to establish certain things. And when you don't allow them to establish those certain things, or when you are against that governance, obviously people come against you. So we're thankful and grateful for those that are still finding the way to be around with us and check us out. Hashtag find Kofi is always the key. Look us up and find out what's going on. Shalom, Sister Beverly. Shalom, Chef. Shalom to everybody. We are going to continue to go down the path that we've been going down. And speaking on the Sermon on the Mount, we're actually going to go to part 15. All of our parts, I believe, at this point should be uploaded. So on YouTube or on the podcast. So you should be able to find where we are and find out where you can catch up with us. Let me just go ahead and try and make sure that this is shared with our community members that might want to be on here or might at some time want to study and see where we're at. We're thankful and grateful for everybody, though. Thank you for being on. Sending some word out to everybody who's follows us on Facebook so we can make sure that we have this together. And we're waiting, I guess, and we won't go live again on TikTok. For those who are usually there with us, we won't go live on that platform again until we get to Sunday for our 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time series. So we'll see you guys there if you're somebody who watches us on TikTok. And we're thankful and grateful for everybody who is participating. Shalom, Dashima, right? Yeah, Dashima Black Swan. Thanks for being on. We appreciate you. And so we're going to get into some nice topic of conversation today. Today is pretty simple. And before we go any further, I'm sorry, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He's our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect this message. Amen. So thank you, everybody who's listening in. We are appreciative of your time. We're thankful and grateful for you, as always. We look forward to having you guys with on our Brothers in Black series, and that will be on or not series, but Brothers in Black annual events. That will be for our brothers, October 30th, which is this Saturday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern in New York time. So we're excited and grateful and thankful. Invite your family, invite your friends, brothers. When you come on, we're asking that you come dressed in black for solidarity. And sisters, of course, you can come on as well. Children can come on. Everybody can come on. And we're grateful and thankful. And we look forward to having you guys join in with us. That'll be on Zoom. So if you need the Zoom link, just get in touch with us. Let us know what's going on. And we're excited to be able to keep taking this journey together. And we appreciate you all so very much, more than you might ever comprehend and understand. Shalom, Sister Helen. Shalom, Sister Shantae. We see you on there. And as always, this is Pastor Kofi, a.k.a. the Shadow Band One, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we're always changing lives one mind at a time, by being a voice to the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And we're grateful once again to have you with us. Thank you. We are in part 15, and we're going to go to Matthew chapter 7, and we're going to start at verse 13. I believe we only have 2 verses for this rising. So we're thankful for you all, and we hope that you all are ready to go deep into your word. We're grateful and thankful. We're hoping that you're ready to grow, to learn, to continue to become sovereign, to continue to comprehend what monarchy is. We had a great class and a great session in our class last night about sovereignty and what is a monarch. And I won't be able to go obviously deep into it as deep we did into the session, but I would say, hey, shalom, babe. My wife is on the honorable mind. I call her that because she lives a life that's able to be honored. Thanks for being on. And so as we have this discussion and as we continue to move on, we are talking about the Sermon on the Mount. Many people would call maybe the greatest sermon of all time. It's definitely spoken by the greatest person to ever exist, Yashra'al. And in all this, we've learned things about that he's coming to establish the kingdom. We've learned that the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who have been shut out, or supposedly shut out of it by other people who try to control the kingdom. If you understand capitalism, you understand that capitalism is simply something that says that economics and politics in this system of capitalism is something that's used. That's by the definition, not by my definition, but by the definition. If you were to Google the definition of capitalism, you would find out that it is a system in which economics and politics are used to control trade and industry. That trade and industry is used by private industries rather than by the state or heads of state. And if you comprehend, as we talked about in our session last night in class, hey, shalom, Sister Sharice, if you comprehend what we're talking about, then the head of state, right, is somebody who is a president, is a governor, is a king, a queen, or an emperor. And so if you have a president, a governor, a king, a queen, an emperor, all being, right, the same head of state, and the president is equal to Congress, and Congress is equal to the Supreme Court, right? And you have people that control the government rather than the state. You have to start figuring out this thing about the kingdom. And that's what we've been talking about. Law, Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 through 20. Who does the kingdom of heaven belong to? It belongs to you. Matthew chapter 5, verses 3 through 12. The kingdom is necessary to heal sickness and disease and to get people out of situations. Matthew chapter 4, verses 23 through 25. Marriage, therefore, is important in the kingdom, right? Matthew chapter 5, verses 21 through 26. Make sure that you're not worried about swearing by certain things, but make sure your actions are in order and that your actions are honorable. Matthew chapter 5, verses 33 through 37, I believe. Make sure that you comprehend that you're, if you're going to try to help hurt people will try to hurt you. So even when you're establishing the kingdom, be ready for people that you think are friends and family and all these other things to come against you, right? All these different things that we have. You have to recognize, you have to realize, you have to be honest about, you have to have honest conversation concerning these things. And so this is what we're in. So the closer we get to whatever the kingdom is supposed to establish in our lives, we must be ready and recognize that this is, these things will happen to us. Are you ready for those things to happen to you? Are you ready for people to try and say all manner of evil against you, right? Are you ready for people to speak ill against you? Right? Are you ready to take these things on? And today takes us deeper, right? Today takes us deeper into those things where we will discover a few more things, right? And so we have to be ready for that. We have to be ready for these things. Thank you for the likes, by the way. Thank you for liking the show. Thank you for those that are sharing. We thank you. That helps us with the algorithm on any kind of channel you're with, and we appreciate you guys. And even if when TikTok comes back on live, every once in a while you want to jump over to the podcast, those who are on, and you want to come over and share some likes and do some stuff like that, and then go back to TikTok, we appreciate that. The algorithm helps. And at some point, maybe we need to be we're growing in the podcast. Maybe we need to make sure that we have more concerted effort in growing that, because we can speak pretty much whatever we want on the podcast, because the podcast we pay for. So these are certain things that we're looking at, but we're appreciative for all the platforms that you guys are on, all the things that you're supporting. And we are thankful and grateful to each and every one of you. We give all honor to the Most High, as always. We give all honor to the Most High for my wife. We give all honor to each and every one of you. And let's go ahead and get into this word. Shalom, Sister Tracy. How you doing? So here we are. Shalom to Cole, to all those joining. We thank you. We really appreciate you. We really do. And once again, don't forget about this weekend. It's going to be amazing. October 30th. Brothers in Black, October 31st, special session on Hallows Eve, Halloween. We'll have the Zoom link for both of those for you all, and we will be back on TikTok. We will have those on live platforms. And those who are wondering, just keep us in prayer. And those that might even want to help us a little bit and study some things, we would, amen. Well, if you want the Zoom link, just contact us, at the number that we provide, or if you want to just, look up any, just look up the podcast and look up the numbers that are there. Text us. Make sure that we know that you would like to be there, so that on Shabbat and really probably more so throughout Sunday. Well, for the Brothers in Black on Friday and Saturday, we're going to try and start sending out the link for the Hallows Eve special session that will be on Saturday and Sunday. We'll start sending that one out. And you guys just keep praying, because as I said, we're going to have more time. And we're going to be able to be more focused again as we have more time to they come November 8th that week. So just pray for us. Keep us lifted up in prayer. We're grateful and thankful. We're excited. And the Most High is really going to start to do some things. And every time you get close to something, you start seeing a lot of different attacks. A lot of attacks in your personal life, a lot of attacks in your family life, a lot of attacks in your marriage, a lot of attacks in your in what you're doing for your work. And you have to be ready for those things. So just keep us in prayer. And we're thankful and grateful that many of you already do. And we feel it. We know it. And we're appreciative of it. We feel your love and your support. And we're thankful. Okay. Now let's get into Sermon on the Mount, part 15. Matthew chapter 7, we're going to start at verse 13, I believe. Let me make sure. Yep, starting at verse 13. Amen. So, we've established all these things about the kingdom, all these things about prayer, all these things about not being worried about tomorrow, because tomorrow is already taking care of the concerns for itself. All these different things, right? Not worried about the mote or the splinter. The splinter in your brother's eye, but you got a big old mote. You got a big old 2x4 hanging out of yours, right? Trying to lead the blind, making sure that we don't give up on seeking and knocking and asking, so that we can, if we ask, it shall be given to us. If we seek it, we shall find it. If we knock, it shall be opened unto us. And we make sure that we don't worry about having to give it to every single person or swine or people that would do things like even try to block what we're doing. But we make sure that we give it to people that are going to help us with the manifestation. All right. So now we get into verse 13. Matthew chapter 7, verse 13. And I believe we only have 2 verses, right? Yep, verse 13. No, actually, you know what? Thank you, Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit said we're going to go a little further. So we're going to talk about something very specific. So let's start at verse 13. We'll see where the Holy Spirit wants to lead us. It looks like we're going to go through verse 20. I wasn't sure. Looks like we're going to go through verse 20. All right, so here we go. Matthew chapter 7, starting at verse 13. It says this. It says, "Enter ye at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in in thereat." All right. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. And how many? And few. And how many are going to find it? And few there be that find it. All right. Verse 15. "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves," right? "Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles?" Right? Natural law, right? Do you go looking for grapes on thorns? Do you go looking for figs on thistles, right? You know where to go and find these things. Verse 17, "Even so, every Elohim-like tree bringeth forth Elohim-like fruit," or every tree will bring forth acceptable fruit. "But a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit." Right? Remember, we talked about that word evil. We just looked at that last time, where it says, if you're evil and you know how to treat your children, then how much more so does the Most High know how to treat you, right? Evil does not mean that you are bad necessarily, but evil can mean that it is sick, that it is diseased, that it is perverted, that it is not lawful, that it is going through some things, that it is being pressed, that it is toiling, that it is being jobbed, right? So it says that, once again, remember, you got to be ready if you're going to help hurt people, or people that toil, or people that go through bad things. Be ready for them to for you to get some of that fruit that they give off until you can help the tree to become more healthy, right? So verse 18 says, a great tree cannot bring forth evil fruit or toiled fruit, right? If you're in the kingdom, you cannot bring forth fruit that comes from toiling, right? So a great tree, a Elohim-like tree, a tree that's in its nature, cannot bring forth evil fruit. Neither can a corrupt tree bring forth acceptable or what they call good fruit. Verse 19, every tree that bringeth not forth fruit that's acceptable is hewn down or is taken down, will be torn down, will be chopped down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them. So it is the fruit that we shall know somebody. Now, the beginning of this says something real quick, and our theme, if you need a theme or a motif for this, we would say that the theme or the motif for this is very simple. The theme or the motif, the focal point of this, the direction we're using, the sentence for this is basically there is one way. There are how many ways? There is one way. And a lot of us are in situations where we believe that there are many ways. Matter of fact, a lot of the people that we deal with are quick to try and tell us, well, can I be a good person? Matter of fact, we've been asked this on some of the lines before, right? Can I be a good person and still, enter into the kingdom of heaven, right? Well, to be a good person means that I should see some good fruit. Now, this is the argument that people give because they think that the argument they give is, well, people are nice, and so that's my good fruit. Shalom, Minister Nice, right? I'm a nice person, so doesn't that mean that that's good fruit? That's what they're arguing when they say, well, I'm a good person, I'm a nice person, I don't hurt people, I don't harm people. Shalom, Sister Cassandra, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Thanks for finding Kofi. Hashtag find Kofi, finding our group. I'm a great person. I mean, I do great things. I want my children to be taken care of. That's why Yashra'al said, hey, man, even the publicans do that. Remember, we talked about that, Sermon on the Mount. See, he's hitting all these different things in the kingdom. Somebody's going to say, man, I take care of my children. I do this. I do that. Right? But that's not necessarily what the kingdom establishes. Even the publicans, even the people you don't like, even the people who are over your country, even the people who are doing all these wild things, even they have enough sense to love their children. He says, which one of you, if your child asks for a piece of bread, right? This is the same Sermon on the Mount, right? We just talked about this yesterday. If your child asks you for bread, you wouldn't give them a stone, right? And if your child asks for meat, you wouldn't give them a snake. You would give them what they ask for. So, but even the person who is off and is hurting other people would still make sure that their children are taken care of. This is why Proverbs chapter, is it Proverbs 13:22, which we like to use a lot, where it says, that people always say the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just, but the wicked have the wealth. Why? Because the first verse you're off on. The first verse says, are you focused on generational wealth? It says that you must focus on taking care of your children's children. Once you take care of your children's children, then you can operate in the wealth of the wicked being laid up for you. But you can't be justified until you have a mindset, right? There's only one way. People want to do whatever. So people want to not have great works. People want to not be obedient. People want to do whatever they want with their family members. Shalom to all those that are joining us. Thank you. People want to not press towards the mark of the high calling. So somebody does something and all of a sudden you don't want to press through it. You don't want to press through the situation. You don't want to deal with bad times or if somebody's challenging you and things of that nature, right? You don't want to press at all. No pressing, but then you want the fruit. Well, even the seed that is planted has to press through the ground in order for it to eventually come up. And some seed, it might take 5 years, like the bonsai. I'm sorry, not bonsai tree, excuse me. Even though the bonsai tree is extremely hard to manage. But the, what is it that I'm looking for? Bamboo. There we go. Even bamboo, right? Thanks, babe. Bamboo has to press for 5 years. It has to press, but then once it finally grows, you can't get rid of it. But it took 5 years for it to press, just so you could see it. And once you see it, it shoots up at a rate that's ridiculous. It shoots up to where it's well over your head. It shoots up to where it can, it is beautiful and at the same time almost scary to see how high it can be, right? If you try to put some bamboo in your yard, if something accidentally gets in your yard, it's over. You're probably never going to get rid of it, right? Because you can't really uproot it at that point, because it took 5 years of rooting to get it to the place where it is. So even if you keep trying to get rid of it, 5 years, it didn't do 5 years for nothing. You're going to have to be ready. You're going to have to take a lot. You might have to remove all the dirt and bring in a whole new thing of dirt, and then make sure it hasn't gotten into your neighbor's yard and some other things to ensure it doesn't get into yours, right? So they're right. So we're pressing, but we give up. Here in the kingdom, he's saying all the stuff I'm telling you, understand there's only one way this is going to go. Right? He said, and so he says in verse 14, I believe, he says, look, there are going to be many people out here who are seeking an easier route. Right? He says the gate to the kingdom, right? The gate to heaven, the gate to the kingdom, the gate to righteousness, to right legal standing. It is a narrow gate. He says that there's a huge gate, though, that a lot of people are looking for. This might be verse 13, I'm not sure. But in verse 13, 14 of Matthew 7, that's where we are right now. And he says there's going to be a narrow gate, and there's going to, right, but there's going to be a large gate. And the reason why people are looking for the larger gate, why? He said because the path in that gate is wide. You can do a variety of things and not be righteous, but you can only do a few things in comparison and be righteous. Now, the righteous results supersede the evil results. So this narrow road, right, like we've talked about in some of the lives, do what you need to do now so that you can do what you want to do later, because the narrow road provides a whole lot more than the wide road, right? Shalom to you again, Sister Beverly. How you doing? Right? But the wide road is what people are seeking, because I don't have to do much of anything. Why is it that people say, get rid of law? Wide road. I don't have to follow law, and I can do all these different things here, so I'm assuming I'm going to get the better result. Right? And here's the deal. It says that, remember, we just came from this, in part 14 yesterday, we just came from, what is it? Ask, it shall be given, right? And within the context, ask within the kingdom confines, right? Ask within the kingdom context, ask and you shall be given, right? And seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto thee, right? So you're seeking. He says, only a few will find the small gate, the gate that is very narrow, which means they have to go through a narrow path. Why? Because it's not that the gate cannot be found. It is that the gate is not being sought. Thank you, Minister Tamara, for the likes. Thank you, Minister Anais, for the reminder. Yes, ask, seek, and knock. Right? So only a few people, how many? Only a few people are going to find the gate. Only a few people are going to seek a gate that is narrow. Many people are going to seek the gate that is wide. Right? Only a few people. Catch that. Right? So when I say things like, when people say, can you find me the scripture that says, and I think some of you who are even on today might have asked me before, but when they say, can you find me the scripture that says that there's going to be more goats and sheep, or there's going to be more people that don't make it in that do make it in, it's Yashra'al telling you right here that there's a gate that you have to seek. And people, because they understand what's on the other side of the gate. So you got to comprehend, most people are not coming against what you're talking about because they just don't like you, or they just don't like the word, or they just don't like Yashra'al HaMashiach, or they don't believe in what you're saying. Most people are looking for an out. They're looking for a loophole. See, when somebody comes to you and they say something like, you know, anybody, and this is the false prophets thing that comes later on, which we read, when people are saying anybody can get us, you know, anybody should be able to get, you know, you can worship any God. You can worship any nature. You can worship what anybody says. You can listen to what anybody talks about. And, you know, you can have any sexuality. You can have any gender. You can have any culture. It doesn't matter what the name of Yah is. He goes by all these different names. You hear people say this, right? What they're telling you is, I'm seeking a wider path. And so, since I'm seeking a wider path, what is my doorway to the wider path? My doorway is to go through a false law, or a faux law, or a perverted law, or a law that is not natural, that is not universal, etc. And rather than go through the king, or the door is Yashra'al. He is the way, he is the truth, he is the life, he is the bread of life, he is the door, right? He is the son of Elohim. He is the son of Yahweh. He is the son of Davad. He is the son of all these things, right? Statutory law, etc., right? Constitutional law, all these laws. There's a specific way, right? We're even dealing with some stuff now, and of years of stuff we've been going through, whatever, basically is coming back to a certain thing. I didn't comprehend it at the time, so it's my fault. But there's some things that we could have taken care of, and things that have reared their ugly head a couple times, and I just didn't know law legally. Okay, and I would have, if had I known, I would have been more aggressive on certain things, put my foot down on certain things, make sure that everybody was secure in certain things at a certain time before we made certain moves. But when you don't know, you don't know. Now, ignorance is no excuse for being disobedient, or not being disobedient, but ignorance is no excuse. I still, was not in tune with law, and so it shows some things, right? But we're much, we're better now, in a better position to be able to handle certain things, right? But you have to understand the same thing is with the word. People are looking for as many loopholes as possible. So rather than this is the law, this is what I have to do this, boom, it's done. People are looking for, well, I don't feel like having to do this. I don't feel like having to be part of an assembly. I don't feel like having to dedicate my life. I don't feel like having to tie time, talent, effort, energy, goods, finances, etc. I don't feel like doing these things. So they look for a gate, right, to get them to a better way. So the gate is the access point. But here's the deal. If Yashra'al is the access point to the system of the kingdom of heaven, which only a few are seeking, therefore only a few shall find, right? Because if you seek, you shall find. If you're finding something, they didn't say only a few shall be given. Did you catch that? It didn't say only a few shall be given this, or only a few shall be shown the kingdom. It says only a few shall seek, therefore only a few shall find. So most people are not seeking something specific. Most people, when I deal with them and when they come into our community, or even if I'm dealing with life coaching, marital coaching, etc., most people, when I start having conversations with them, what really starts to happen with them when they come to this new place is that they finally, enough is enough. I've tried all these different things. I tried the wide winding road and all that stuff. I haven't been able to get exactly what it is that I would like, and therefore, since I found everything, I'm coming to you because you seem to have a very narrow path. Let's see if you can go to this. And I say, sure. Like the path, first of all, the gate is not me. The gate is the Dalet, is the door, is Yashra'al. Right? Let me present you him. Let me present you his kingdom. Let me present you what he thinks. Well, let me present you his ways. Let me present you what he would say. Right? You said that was you? Yeah. That's a lot of us. That was me, I'm going, okay, I was born and raised Jehovah's Witness. I was preaching to people. I was doing this. I asked some questions. That didn't seem to work. So I became agnostic, and I went to this, I started getting the black Muslim stuff. I get into Sunni Shiite stuff. I started getting into, let me study some stuff as far as Buddha. Let me study some stuff as far as this. Let me study some stuff as far as that, right? And then I came back to, okay, well, I started going to church. All right, church seems to be a little more centered, but there's some stuff that's off. I got some questions. Let me study. Let me do this. Okay, and then I started finding out, wait, there's specific things that I'm supposed to be doing no matter what. Right? I'm supposed to be doing these very specific things. And as I do these very specific things, then I start realizing I get very specific results. And as I got very specific results that were amazing and that were great, and then I started realizing, oh, well, other people who don't even believe fully in what I do, when they use these same principles, they get similar results. So then I realized, well, if Yashra'al is the way, what is he the way to? Well, he said he came to give the kingdom, Matthew 4:23. He said that the kingdom now belongs to me, Matthew chapter 5, verse 3. And he says that people come against me because I'm doing things in the kingdom to rejoice. So I start working harder. Why? Because Matthew 5:13-16, that I'm a city. I'm the salt of the earth. I'm a city set on a hill. I'm a light. It doesn't make sense to hide my light. And everybody's going to look at my light anyways because they're in darkness. I'm the only thing in light. So even if you're in darkness, if you look out and you see a light, you're attracted to what you see. Sometimes you're attracted. It doesn't mean that you're going to do what you're supposed to do, but you're attracted to what you see. Okay. Sister Beverly, tell me in the notes, it says that you want to be part of the video. Did you mean to do that on purpose? If so, we can have you come on the video and say something real quick, or come on the live and say something, right? So I'm not sure. I don't want to just share and you're not prepared. If you want to be on the live, just tell me in the comment section. We'll let you on. All right. So but these are the things that we have to get to a place of recognizing and thinking about and comprehending, that we are in a place to where we're supposed to show the light. We're supposed to be in position to show this light. We're supposed to be in a position to ensure that people see us as is intended, right? And so this is what we're specifically talking about. Keep on going, so once I'm the light, then it says now establish the law. If people are looking at me, and the law is going to help us to get to the kingdom, and therefore Yashra'al follows the law, he's the way. Now I got to make sure people see the law, Matthew 5, 17 through 20, right? And then therefore people are going to start looking at my marriage, right? It's Matthew chapter 5, I'm sorry. People are then going to start seeing what I do. And so it says, don't be in debt and don't be in anger, right? Because those two things will take you away from the kingdom. That's Matthew 5, 21 through 27. So then he says after that, we'll make sure that people see your marriage is strong. Matthew chapter 5, verse 27 through 32. Make sure people therefore don't see you having to swear. I swear to God, I swear upon my mama's grave. No, let them see what you see. So let your yes mean yes and your no mean no, right? Which I can even be better than. I might have a lot of stuff I'm doing, but I need to become better and greater at that, right? We all can. So Matthew chapter 5, verse 33 through 37. And then after that, hey, hurt people might try to hurt you, so be prepared for that. Matthew chapter 5, verse 38 through the end of Matthew chapter 5. Then Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 through 4. When you're doing things, don't do them so that everybody necessarily is looking at everything you do, but try to see what it is, right? Like Matthew chapter 6, verses 5 then through 13, is it? Or maybe 14 or 15, where we're talking about prayer. Our Father who art in heaven. Do you know how to pray? Do you know how to communicate? It was by accident? Okay, no problem. So, all these different things or whatever, right? Then after that, you see how all these parts go together. He's talking about a kingdom. This is stuff you're supposed to seek. Specific things that you're supposed to seek, right? Right after that, we talked about making sure that you are aware of how things go, because part 11 taught us what? That if you're not careful, you can get in some bad things and have some bad thoughts. So make sure you fast from certain things, separate yourself from certain things for a while, that you can become holy, and that you won't have cognitive dissonance. Then part 12, we talked about what? Seeking first the kingdom, having no worry for your life. Why are you worried more than birds are? Birds are living a more stress-free life than human beings. Why in the world is that? Because they don't concern themselves for the things of tomorrow, and you have 100% survival rate. There's not one thing you haven't survived. Why are you concerned that you won't be able to survive what you're going through and where you are right now? Matthew chapter, after that, Matthew chapter 7, 2 days ago, Matthew chapter 7, I can't remember what verses. I want to say it's verses 1 through 5, maybe I think it's verse 1 through 6, actually, where we talked about not, therefore, making sure you know the kingdom so you're not out here blind trying to lead the blind. Right, the Matthew chapter 7, verses 7 through 12, which we talked about yesterday, which takes us to a place of recognizing that we have to keep asking and seeking and knocking. So now we get to a place of today. Once again, it's just kingdom. It's all this stuff goes together, right? There's only one way. Seek one way. You see, a lot of people are seeking the gate that is wide and winding, and that they can get away with everything they want to get away with, and they don't have to show up, they don't have to do this, they don't have to have works with their faith. They can just have faith, right? It's by my faith alone. It's only by faith. It's only by grace alone. But faith without works is dead. So how are you going to talk about grace? The grace is supposed to make sure that when you have when your faith, see, this is, people don't want to put this stuff together holistically. Holy, being whole, being one. My faith. Hey, shalom, Brother Thomas. How you doing? Right? My faith might lapse. So grace comes in when my faith lapse, right? My works might lapse. So grace comes in when my works lapse. And because my works are connected to law, so I might miss the mark. Yashra'al died so that what? When I miss the mark, not only does grace there to catch me, but mercy puts me back where, right? Mercy is what even allows me to be heard. How you doing, Brother Ricky's on, right? It's the mercy that allows me to be heard. Mercy, see, mercy says, I deserve punishment, but I won't get it, right? Your child, like, watch this. Your child is doing flips in the house. You say, stop doing flips in the house. They do a flip in the house. They break the television. Now they done broke the television. The child is scared. Why is the child scared? Because they know that they should get a whooping. They know they should get a spanking. They know they should get some discipline. So they're waiting for it. And they're crying. But you come over, you say, are you all right? You got a scrape? Okay. And you don't even have to punish them at that point, because a child, all you have to say is don't do it again. They've seen it, they repent, and they come back from it, right? Now, you might take away toys, or you might do something like that for a while. You might have to let them know, hey, I have to show you that you will never do this again. There is a discipline. There is a punishment that comes with it, right? Straight is the way. So I can't just let you get away with this completely, but I will not allow this to be something that allows you to have to deal with this condemnation forever. I want you to come out of this realizing that I don't condemn you for an action that you did. Right? You did something immature. However, I'm perfect. I'm being perfected. I want you to be perfected. That means I want you to be mature. I want you to become more whole. I want you to become more one. So we will use this to learn and grow from, right? And therefore, that's the mercy. The mercy allows me to get you to the place where I can present you with the grace. But your faith and your work still have to be there. See, so you hear people say all this stuff, it doesn't make sense. It's cognitive dissonance, as we talked about. But this is why we get to today, part 15. We need to make sure that we comprehend what? That there's one way. People are trying to find several ways. There's one. People are trying to tell you all this. There's one. Well, you know, what if I say Jesus? I mean, he has one name. People get mad. Now, I'm not saying that Jesus, if somebody's ignorant of it, so be it. But if you're going to fight against the fact that, like, before there was a name Jesus, before there was a letter J, before there was an I-E-S-U-S, before there was an I-E-S-U, there was another name. There were two names that he was actually given. And the interesting thing is, rather than use the second name, because you could use Yashra'al or you could use Emmanuel, and rather than use Emmanuel, you won't even use that. You jump straight to Jesus. And we know in the Bible where the word Jesus came from, because it came when he was on the cross. Pontius Pilate didn't even know how to say what his name was, so he had his name written in Hebrew, which was Yashra'al. Then he had his name written in Greek and in Latin, but he didn't write his name. He wrote a nickname. He wanted people to know who they were hanging. And because he washed his hand clean, he wanted people to know, hey, I know who this person is, and this is on you guys. I tried to give you Barabbas. You said let Barabbas be the scapegoat. You wanted him to be the sacrificial lamb. So here you go. Here's Yesus, half man, half Zeus. He put it out there. He put it out there for all to see, right? And yet people still want to use the name of a deity that we know was made up by Greeks, and we know was given the position even in Greek folklore that he has, due to the fact that he was. We know that he was given this name, or given this position, that he's over all these other gods, because of and forgive me, we know that he was given this position to be over other gods, because of his because they came together and wrote all these gods together in a story. Like, we know this. They will tell you this. Amen. Yashra'al is his only name. Yashra'al, excuse me, let me make sure I say that correct. Right, is the only name that is Yashra'al, and it's Emmanuel. Those are only two names that it says in your Bible that you're allowed to call them. Yet, we're going to something else. Why? Because people want many different ways. And therefore, you have to be careful. So if somebody's coming out there and they're telling you that a name is different, or you don't have to follow law, or you don't have to be about the word, or you don't have to obey what it says, or you can get away with doing this, or, you know, you can't use sermons out there, you can't handle my sexy, or sermons out there talking about, you should stop worrying about it, and that Yah loves everybody. So if there's anybody who's homosexual, or the term they come up with, because homosexual really should just mean same sex, so or one sex, so one male, one female. Homosexual doesn't mean what people want, but the Greeks started using it because they were out here trying to mess with little boys. And so when they started saying, we can't have you messing with the little boys, at least not as fervently as you are, then they said, all right, well, we'll come up with this term and we'll make it taboo. It'll be called homosexual, right? So that's why people still use the term today, right? And thank you for the love. I appreciate that, they're showing love and doing all these things. It's my pleasure, Sister Sonia. Like, we have to be in a position to understand there's only one way. You're dealing with perverted, and that's why you call it Genesis. That's why those of you who are doing early rising, we're not even really making it through these days yet. We've had 2 sessions. We haven't even really broke down all these days, but we've learned a lot. Why? Because context matters. Contextual facts matter, right? And we haven't been given contextual facts. Sorry, Cole said, they said I was in a cult because I used the name that is given rather than the name most know, right? And by the way, even when they use these terms, when they use these terms, what do these terms even mean? Like, what are these terms? What do these terms even mean? We're going to talk about this on our early rising session, Bible study session on next Monday, but they're using terms, and they don't want to admit to you that the terms that they're using straight up, support your position. You hear what I'm saying? They don't even tell you, admit to you that the terms that they're using, they straight up support your position. What do I mean by that? Right? Think about the term universe. We're going to talk about this more, but think about the term universe. We're not going to go deep into it. We'll save that for Monday. I'm going to be obedient to what the Holy Spirit said. That's for Monday. However, I am going to at least give you a little taste, just so you can see this, and so you can see it, because she's leading me to talk, at least mention this here, right? Universe, uni, one, verse, a spoken sentence. That's what universe means. Think about that. Uni, one, verse, a sentence spoken. How can you talk about a universe without somebody speaking a sentence? And what's the sentence? They don't know what the sentence is. They have many sentences, many paragraphs, many books written on many theories that don't even make sense. Right? Like, a lot of you would be surprised to learn that there are actually 6 versions of evolution. A lot of people don't know that. There are 6 versions of evolution. We'll talk about this more on Monday, but there are 6 versions of evolution. And only one of them, even though we still wouldn't call it evolution, but only one of them is provable. There are 6 versions of evolution. So first and foremost, if you're talking about somebody with evolution, first and foremost, we got to shut down that argument. Which version are you even talking about? Do you even know that there are 6? And do you even know that there's only one that can be proven? That one, we wouldn't even call it evolution. We would just call that people having sex and having children. Right? Like, there's 6 versions. Only one of them is something that, again, is actually palatable, right? Because the other ones we have to throw away. We can't even taste them, right? Because they don't even know what they are. We'll get into that, right? But there's only one sentence that's ever been spoken. Universe, one verse, spoken sentence. That means that everybody believes at some point that there was somebody who spoke a sentence into it, and therefore spoke this one thing, this one sentence spoke everything into existence. So if you're calling this the universe, it means somebody had to speak a sentence. We would say that that's Barashit bara Elohim at Shemayim at Aret, or in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. That's the sentence. Right? Or if you want to break it down even further, and I'm going to leave it here because we're going to go over the rest, but if you want to break it down even further, just Salah. Hold on to this, you guys who are early risers. We'll talk about this on Monday. Salah, right? But hold on to this. Think about this. Pray about this. Study this, what I'm saying, right? Every time that something in the earth came to be, a sentence was spoken. That's universe. That's universe. So every time somebody talks about the universe, but then says, I don't believe in the Most High, then it's cognitive dissonance. You don't even realize. Or like we talked about before, psyche, psychology, psychology. Psychology means the study of psyche means what? Soul. So you say you don't believe in a person as a soul, and yet every time you talk about psychology, you're studying the soul. There's only one way. People are trying to find every other way. They're trying to, and here's the deal, because I don't want to go through the gate. I know what I have to start doing and talking about and functioning within and being within a certain standard to go down this straight road. There's only one road that leads to righteousness. So rather than go down this one road, I'm going to listen to false prophets who will, as it 2 Timothy chapter 4 tells us that these people have itching ears. And I'm going to look for people who do not have sound doctrine. I'm going to look. I know it's sound because if I use the word universe, it can only mean one sentence that was spoken. And therefore, every time Yah spoke a sentence, something came into existence. If he spoke a sentence of curse over somebody, it came into existence. If he spoke a sentence of blessing, that's why the word says he commanded the blessing. He commanded the blessing. There's only one way this thing works. And I know it. Matter of fact, my spirit, whether I want to deny that I have a spirit, my spirit and my soul really, come from him. So something in me is telling me this is real, but I can't do it. So I've got to come up with all types of things, the Higgs particle or the God's particle or all these different terms that people want to use and throw out there, right? Or I have to come up with neutrinos because I had to come up with neutrons because I've never seen a neutron. A neutron doesn't even exist. But I found protons, I found electrons, and I found something that I put out as a theory. And I said, this is a law that energy cannot dissipate, or it has to be transferred from one place to another, but energy just seemed to go away. So in order for me to be able to still teach this to little children and say that this is what's up, I got to give you these weird theories. I have to tell your children in school, they will make sure that they tell these teachers, you better teach these students that the earth It has to be this many hundreds of millions of years old. This dinosaur existed this many hundreds of millions of years, but I have nothing scientific to back it up. They say, oh yeah, we do. We have scientific method of being able to measure this, but your machines say that an animal can be this many, one part of the animal can be 5 million years old, and that same machine will say that the other part of the animal is 500 years old. That doesn't make sense. That means it's not scientific. They don't want you to believe that this is religion versus religion. There's only one way, right? If we want to use the term religion the way that they use it, there's only one religion. There's only one way. Right. And the Shemus is trying to find any other way but the right way, right? Because I don't want to go down the right path. The right path means I must be disciplined. I must be a disciple. The right path means that I must study to show myself approved. I've got to study what the kingdom says. I can study the other stuff too, right? But I'm not going to go down the path of that other way, because there's only one way. There's only one. There's only one way, right? The kingdom. But I'm going to try to find any other way I can. Husbands, love your wives as Yashra'al loved the assembly, right? Loved the Kodeshim and gave himself for it, that it might be a glorious Kodeshim, right? And that it might be without spot or wrinkle. You know what? I'm not going to make sure that I take time to invest in my wife and teach her and have her be a disciple of what I'm doing and things of that nature. I'm just going to blame her. You don't do this. You don't do that. You're not good at this. You're not good at that. You don't take time out. You're not listening. You don't submit. Well, she's not supposed to submit until you're doing your part. Well, I'm not going to submit to him. I'm not supposed to submit to no man. I don't even need a man. I don't really need him. I'm just with him. I'm with him, but I don't need him. I don't need to be around him or whatever. These are the years of feminism. This is the years of the women's movement. All this masculinity is toxic anyways. Okay, well then, why are you expecting for a man to love you? There's only one way. All praises to the Most High. Amen, right? There's only one way. We can slice this up several different ways, but there's only going to be one way. And it says that there are false prophets. Anybody who's out there speaking to you that there's more than one way, Yashra'al made it very clear. They're false. They're a false prophet. Stop listening to them. Don't give them any more play. They're false. Right? And we should know it. Here's the important piece. Once we find the one way, how do you know if it's one way? Because the fruit. How do you know that your marriage is doing what it's supposed to do? Because of the fruit. How do you know that you are getting, because there's fruit? I feel a certain way when I do a certain thing. There's fruit there. My children act a certain way when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. There's fruit there. My finances do a certain thing when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. There's fruit there. There's fruit. There's only one way. Right? There's only one way. There's one way. Right? The fruit determines it. He said, and to watch this, here's the deal. You're going, who's the prophet? Or the person, prophet's just supposed to be Yahweh's mouthpiece, or Elohim's mouthpiece, the Most High's mouthpiece, right? So he says, if you're going to look for, he says the problem is you want fruit, but you've been looking out at the wrong path, the wrong tree, the wrong way, the wrong truth, the wrong life, or the wrong version of these things, right? You've been looking for these things. This is what he says. He says, look, which one of you who's looking for grapes is going to go to a place that has thorns? Or which one of you is looking for figs, you're going to go looking for it on thistles, right? Figs come from trees. The grape comes from the vine. Why would you go to the wrong place? Why would you go to something that hurts you and harms you to get something that heals you, right? And grapes specifically, see, we got to study this and be holistic. What do grapes do? Grapes help to make sure that they heal the lungs and make sure that you breathe more efficiently. Oxygen is one of the most necessary, if not, you could say probably oxygen is the most necessary thing for your physical body to be maintained, right? The more oxygenated, the greater health, health you have, and also the less health risk you have, right? What do figs do? Figs deal with the seed. They deal with being fruitful. They deal with multiplying. They deal with sperm. They deal with the woman even in her fertilization and other things, right? So he's saying, why are you going to somebody who's going to try and breathe something into you that's supposed to give you eternal life, and yet they're breathing things into you that have you frustrated, submitted to the wrong thing, negatively influenced, harmful, etc., right? And he says, which one of you, thank you, Ruach HaKodesh, for all this, amen. And which one of you, why are you going to them for that? Why are you going to the fig Why are you going to look for figs in places that are dead and things that cause you harm, rather than looking for something, a seed, a word, a zerach, a samek, that can be given to you, that will cause you to what? To not just seed it, but then to receive within yourself, that you might give birth to a great nation. Why would you go to the opposite thing, right? Why would you go to something else, right? We keep going to these other things. We keep looking for it through these other things. Okay? You keep going to everything else. So you should know by the fruits it bears, but you're looking for the fruit in the wrong place. I thought we were going to stop right here. I'm going to be obedient. Ruach HaKodesh said we're going to go a little further, all right? I know I said we're going to stop at verse 20. I'm going to be obedient. Amen. We're going to go into verse 22, and we'll stop. Verse 23, excuse me. And then we'll stop there. It will come back and finish the rest off tomorrow, right? So part 16 will be our last part. We'll do that tomorrow. We'll be in the same place as we are unless something changes on TikTok. Like I said, I've already gone through the proper procedure of making sure that I check the people that are trying to check us, and we'll go from there. But for right now, we'll be ready to come to these same places and meet again. Amen. All right. So watch this. Matthew chapter 7, starting at verse 21. I'm going to read. I'm going to just read through verse 21 through 23, and we'll get ready to take our leave. Here we go. So it says, not everyone that saith unto me. So because of the fruit, see, it's only by the fruit. There's only one way. There's only one way, right? There's only one way. How many ways are there? There is only one way. You said we can keep going. Right? There's only one way. There's only one way. Thankful that you came over, right? There's only one way. We know this, right? How many ways? Only one way. How many ways? Only one way. How many ways? Only one way. You can try to say you're going to get the righteousness through everywhere else. He says we're going to see by the fruits. And now here comes the thing that people don't want to talk about, because they say there's no law. You don't have to worry about anything. You just say Jesus and everything will be fine. Just take these 2 Jesus pills and call me in the morning, right? Everything will be fine, right? Here's the deal. First, let's read. Matthew chapter 7, verse 21 through 23. Not everyone. So after he just said, you'll know the fruits. You'll know them by the fruits they bear, right? Verse 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Yahava, right? Or really we could even say here, be Adon. Remember we talked about that in the early risers class, L-O-R-D with the capital L. So you can see what this is. Not everybody that says Adon, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. But he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven. My Father's in heaven. If you're going to come into heaven, you got to do his will. You have to do what he says his way. Your ways should match his ways. This is just the qualification. You can say that's unfair, this and that, whatever. We can have that conversation later. I'm just telling you what the Son of the Most High says. Right? What Yashra'al Mashiach said. Not everyone will enter. Not everyone that says, Lord, Lord. Not everybody that says, you own it, it's yours. Not everybody who on Sunday says, it's all yours. I'm a living sacrifice. I surrender all to thee, right? All to thee, my precious Savior, I surrender all, right? That just because you say, Lord, Lord, doesn't mean, right, that he says what? That you shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. But cancel that. What supersedes that? Only those who do the will of the source of Abba, of Aleph, who is where? Shemayim, on the other side of Lakia, on the other side of that firm substance in heaven, right? Many shall say to me in that day, Lord, Lord. So he's going further now. Many people, and what did we say? Many people, more people are going to look, right? Because he says what? Many people are looking for the gate that is straight. That is, let me go back to Matthew chapter 7, verse 13. Let me say this correctly. All right. Enter ye the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Right? Because straight is the gate. Because, right? We said, because of the fact they're going there, because the gate is straight. Because they don't want to deal with what? The straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leads them to life, and few will find it. So it says on one hand, many people are looking for the wide gate, and it says only a few people are looking for the narrow gate. So if many people are looking for the wide gate, that means more people are looking for, many is more than few, right? We would agree on that, right? Many, right, is greater than few, right? So many people, more people are looking for something that lets them do whatever they want, and only a few people are willing to be disciplined. Okay, so let's fast forward now, Matthew chapter 7, verse 22. So it says, and many, the people that are looking for the wide gate, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? Which name, first off? See this context? See this kingdom? You see what I'm saying? So did we not say, I said in the name of Jesus, right? And in thy name, have we cast out devils? I mean, I tell people all the time that I saw miraculous things done in your name, and I was the one to do it, and I laid hands on this person, and I did this, right? And it says, and in thy name, done many wonderful works, right? Didn't I do all these great works? But where was your faith? What was your faith in? Faith without works is dead. How you doing, Zion? Right? Where was your faith at? What was your faith in? Who was your faith in? Didn't I do all these great things? Many will say. Many will say. Right? In verse 23 it says, and then will I profess unto them. So this is Yashra'al saying, I will. So people who said, this is why they called them blasphemous, because blasphemy only has two meanings. It means that either you are saying that you can forgive as the Most High can forgive, or saying you are the Most High himself. So for him to make the statement, they said it was blasphemous because he was saying he was one and the same with the Most High. So when you hear somebody say, nowhere in the word did Yashra'al ever say he was one and the same, yeah, he did it quite often. That's one of the reasons why they said he needed to die. They said, according to our customs, Pontius Pilate, you need to kill him because you're supposed to help us keep our customs. And well, he's going against our custom. He's saying that he's the Most High on earth. He needs to be killed. You said, come on now, that's what people say when you tell them his real name, right? It says, many people, didn't I say this? Didn't I do this in his name? Right, no authority with correct name, without the correct name, powerless, right? Right? So, didn't I do this? Didn't I proclaim? Didn't I tell people about your wonderful works? I always was about what you did, Yashra'al. Why are you saying that I'm not about what you're doing? Why would you dare not let me into the kingdom of heaven? I should be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Right? All these things we've read about in your Bible. Verse 23, he says, and then will I profess unto them. Yashra'al HaMashiach says, I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Not I never knew of you. Remember the context, remember the culture, remember how they're speaking. To know somebody is to be intimate, to be husband and wife, to lay down. Right? I never was intimate with you. We never had relationships like that. We never had any children together. We never bore any fruit together. You shall know them by the fruit they bear. I don't recognize those children that you had. I don't recognize, you help people on the street, but you help people on the street by making sure that they were bowing down to a false Jesus. You help people on the street by telling them that they need to make sure that they said this chant. You were helping people on the street by saying that you were more suited and they need to listen to whatever you said about the Bible rather than what I said. I never was intimate with that. I never knew that. That had nothing to do with me. Going back to the question, I'm a good person. A good person according to who? The kingdom? Or according to what you want? Because there's one way. And only a few will find it because only a few will seek it. So he says once again, and then will I profess to them, I never knew you. Depart from me. And there's a colon there. That means whatever came before is coming now comes out of the fact that he says, I never knew you. So since I never knew you, since we were never intimate, since we were never husband and wife, he says, depart from me. Why? Ye that work iniquity. Ye that are in sin. Ye that are missing the mark. Ye that are ignorant. Matter of fact, it's not just that you, perish for a lack of knowledge, of intimacy. He said, I want to be your wife. I want you to be my wife. I want to be your husband. And you rejected knowledge. You rejected intimacy. There's only one way. There's only one way. We can try to carve it however you want. There's only one. When I get my money together, maybe I'll start doing it. There's only one way. You can't serve Elohim and Mammon. You'll either love one or hate the other. I don't know, man. If I give up this job, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I might end up having to crash on my family member's couch, and that's embarrassing to me. Look, there's only one way. You can do what the world says, or you can do what the Most High says. I don't know, man, because I like this, and I like being myself, and I don't really want to become one with somebody else. I like me. Well, look, you should be able to have you come into being one. But if there's only one way that marriage is going to work correctly. There's only one. As statistics are showing us. People have been telling us for the longest time, do whatever you want with marriage. You ain't got to be married no more. You can do whatever. You can have as many wives as you want. All the stuff that's happening. Okay, what's the rate of divorce right now? Right? Matter of fact, let's be real. In the church, they've adopted all this stuff too. All the silliness and talking about dating and all these other things like that. Okay, like, tell me what the divorce rate is in the church. I'll wait. Is it better than the world? Because if it's the same result as the world, then church doesn't seem to be doing anything that the world is not doing. Now they might put nice words on it, but once again, the fruit. Right? We do the Bible, we're about the Bible, this and that or whatever. How many preachers are out there cheating on their spouses? Not just males, by the way, females too. We can look at the fruit. Let's just start looking at the fruit. I like that hashtag. There is only one way. I'm on. Right? There's only one. I shall know you by the fruit you bear, and I'm tired. That's why I went on the journey that I'm on now in following the way, and being a follower of the way. Because you gotta comprehend. Like, I saw a bunch of results, and I saw a bunch of fruit, and I said, you know what? If I keep coming to this place, and this is the fruit I get. If I'm going to a place and I'm trying to help establish something, and literally, I can tell you what, in the last 2 churches I was involved with, no, the last 3 churches, if you include mine, I guess I have to say 3 out of 4, if you include Servants of Christ, because, I didn't, Servants of Christ, especially since we, like having our services and stuff like that under these groups, I haven't done this. So if you want to count me, I guess you could say you're 75% rate, not 100% rate of what I'm about to talk about. But nevertheless, if I were to take Servants of Christ out the equation, the last 3 churches that I've been a part of, I know for a fact that the pastors, all of them, were doing stuff behind the scenes, or their marriages were falling apart, or their marriages fell apart a couple of times while they were pastoring. And when I see that, that's the fruit. Of course, I don't want to be connected to that. I won't go deep into stuff, but the last one I was affiliated with, I was there and I was dealing with stuff behind the scenes. And the thing is that I knew, because I've been through this before with another church organization, that you stay around that long enough, people are going to begin to say you allowed that to happen, or you tried to hide it, and I wasn't hiding it. I thought I was being obedient, and that's not everything is everybody's business. But if there's stuff happening like that at the top, and I looked at the fruit, I saw that if you're having issues in your marriage, nobody knows about it, but I knew that there were several divorces that happened in your congregation, and several people that had left because of the divorces, and several people that still ain't really acting right and righteous when they left. There's a fruit there. I can't keep going. Right? If I'm looking, I can't go to the what is it? I can't go to something that's dead if I'm looking for grapes. I can't look for something that's dead if I'm looking for figs. I've got to go look for the vine, the healthy vine for the grape, and I've got to go look to the healthy tree for the fig. Even Yashra'al cursed the fig tree when it didn't produce figs. It was a tree, but it didn't produce fruit. So he had to curse it. He had to curse it, right? This is in Matthew chapter 15. I want to say it's somewhere around verse 7, 8. Might even be in verse 10. I think it's in verse 10 or 11. No. Maybe it's in verse 12, 13, somewhere in there. Read Matthew chapter 5, like start somewhere around verse 8 and go through verse 13, somewhere in there. But you'll discover that he basically, we talked about this in the early Rise of Bible study, I believe, or maybe some other study. But Yashra'al was talking about how hypocritical the religious leaders were, and they wanted his disciples to follow customs and traditions, but they didn't follow law. And so since they didn't honor their father and mother, he was like, forget y'all. He called everybody over and told them off in front of everybody. Then his disciples came to him afterwards on the low. It was like, Yashra'al, like, that was pretty harsh. Why would you say that in front of everybody like that? Why would you, pick them apart? And he said, anything that my father didn't plant, I got to uproot it. He didn't even apologize. He didn't even say, I'm sorry, that wasn't too salty. I got to be the salt of the earth and make sure I season my words with grace. And he said, if my father didn't plant it, I got to uproot it. I got to pull it up. That was his response. Just like John chapter 3, before you get to verse 16, everybody loves, go back and read the beginning. He's talking to Nicodemus, and Nicodemus comes to him in the cover of night and tries to play him and try to be like, oh, you the man, and you got it going on. We know you got to be a prophet. Nobody can do the stuff that you're doing unless you from the Most High. You got to be, you got to be connected to him. And he said, Nicodemus, we can't even continue this conversation until you're born again. You know, when people talk about born again, that's what really he was saying. He was like, we can't go any further with this till you're born again. He didn't do like what we do at the end of a service. You know, if you'd like to be born, like his words were straight up. You ain't gonna go no further in this until you're born again, right? Like that was his word. You're not going any further in this until you're born again. If you want to be born again, then we can have a further conversation. But until you're born again, we might as well stop right now. There's only one way, is what he was telling them. We can't. There's only one way this conversation gonna go. And we allow people to be all over our conversation. You said when you saw ATM in the church, you knew the way of the world. There you go. Right? And I'm not even mad at the ATM. I'm being honest with you. I'm not even mad at it, but what you're using it for. If people are going to go to the ATM to make sure that they tithe, right? If people are going to go to the ATM to make sure that they tithe, I'm more concerned about the fruit. Right? Like the ATM in the church is not a bad, like I'm being honest with you. Like if on one of our land projects that we have way in the future, you know, 10, 20 years from now, we start having an ATM close to it or on the property or something like that, because first of all, we should make sure we have access to money wherever we are, so we don't have to go to somebody else, and that we can pay ourselves when people come there, because people get paid for the ATM machine, right? So, you know, we can basically pay ourselves or come up with some system to do so. I'm all for it. I'm not mad at that at all. The problem with the ATM machine for me is people giving you money and then what's happening with it. Right? Like every penny you guys have given us and every penny I've given and putting in, it's still in there. Right? Like, so, you know, we're like I said, we're around 2,000 right now for the month, trying to make sure we get up to about 3,000 average. Right? So we're like a little under 2,000. So being under little 2,000, like that's what we've been given. That's what's there. That's what's written in the books, all these different things or whatever, right? And we haven't touched it. Now, if you had given me 2,000 and we don't have 2,000 in the account, that's a problem, right? Or let's say we make 50,000 and then all of a sudden come October 1st, we don't have anything planned to where, hey, we all going to go and meet up and look at land over here. You guys tell me what you think. That's a problem. Or those of you who doing life coaching, and you give a certain thing. And that's why I said even certain things I got to catch up on. I'm not perfect at this, right? You know, where people have given a certain thing and said, hey, we want to help you with this. We want to bless you with this, etc. And then, but I don't contact you back for life coaching. That's not acceptable. Or if I say, hey, I got you, we're going to make sure that we go through this process of this or whatever, and then all of a sudden you get money, but there's no classes. Or even some of the stuff I have to catch up on. Like I said, I'll be so glad when November 8th hits. I'm in the process of trying to get this stuff done now. But I've been so busy, I haven't even been able to just do something as simple as make sure I send out everybody out their certificates. So those are things that show that I'm messing up in. If I just be honest about it, I'm messing up in and not being diligent as far as the kingdom is concerned. Right? I'm not disciplined in that area. It doesn't matter what caused me to not be disciplined. I'm not disciplined. I got to get better. That's it. Because there's only one way. So once I get free time, and then once we really, like I said, to the end of the year, we're pursuing the promise, right? We're pursuing the promise, right? So we got to pursue this promise. Yeah, building fund. Somebody got a building fund. Steve Harvey has an old joke talking about, you know, the building fund on the church. You know, you've been giving to the building fund for 30 years. They ain't put a doorknob on the church, right? So we don't want to fall into that category in any way, shape, or form. Sure, are we doing more than what most do? But once again, remember we talked about, our goal is not to be better than most. Our goal is to be the best version of ourselves we can be. This is why come November 8th, I've got to release myself from some things because my community needs me to be at optimal efficiency. That's why I got to be ready to start doing some travel. I don't even know how it's going to happen. That's why I told you guys, I'm going to be reaching out to some of you. Hey, do you know a place that doesn't cost that much? Do you know some people that might, you know, that are in the community, or are you even willing? Would you be willing if we come to your area that we would have these places to stay in for sure, and things like that nature? People that we trust and that we know now and that we've talked to you and that we've, you know, supposed to be there, right? Definitely need a secretary. Says definitely need some help. We tried to do a little bit of it before, but it never really materialized, you know. But these are the things that we're looking for, right? Is to be greater and better. And I've got to pursue those promises too. Those are promises. The promises come connected to you doing what you're supposed to do. And if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, we're going to miss certain promises. I'm pursuing the promises, right? We're going to hashtag finish strong, right? Because next year, we got to live in what we pursued. Oh, I felt that might be it. That might be the thing. I've been telling my wife, I don't know what we're going to do. So we're going to keep that in prayer. I like that. That felt good. But next year, we got to live in what we pursued. That means the land. We got to pursue. We got to live in it. If we are about the works that we say we are, and if Yah is who he says he is, and if we say that we're about his promise, that means next year we have to live in what he pursues. That's the proof. That's the evidence that when we speak it, it will happen. We don't have to swear on Elohim. We don't have to swear on the earth. We don't have to swear on nobody's grave. We just simply do what we said we're going to do. Right? So it's not just enough to pursue a promise. You got to do what? It's not just enough to pursue a promise. You have to start living in what the promise is. Sonia said, understand, but you're also teaching 2 times a day, classes, even family, father, husband. However, I understand your point. And I get it. Like I said, I'm not condemning myself. I will never go to a place, because I've done a lot of that. I've been depressed enough before in my past to where I've condemned myself for things. I'm not condemning myself. However, I recognize that you have to live by your word. And one of the things that when this thing grew, that I'll just be honest with you, I wasn't ready for it, because I'm so used to being in church circles where you had to do everything by yourself and not having people like you who have been so diligent to help, that first of all, it took me a long time to trust you guys would help. Secondly, then it's taken me a long time to even ask for help. So there's certain things even in that regard, or for me to even sometimes just be more, not have to try and make sure everybody's happy, but sometimes just say, hey, this is what it is. Right? I'm being taught by some of my big brothers that come on the lives that I talk to outside of this, and they'll say, hey, man, sometimes you just got to say, this is what we're doing. You don't have to make sure everybody's happy with what you're saying. Sometimes you just got to say, this is it. If you're going to be part of it, this is what we're doing, boom, 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 and keep it moving, right? So I'm learning. I'm still growing too, right? And y'all, that's why I say pray for me. I'm not a finished product yet either. I'm under construction too, right? A lot of people might look at us and say, man, they don't mess up in anything. That is far from the case. That's why I'm quick to say, study what we say. I might mess up and say the wrong sentence, and if you don't study what I say, you might go off the wrong sentence. You might need to study, because I might have said one thing the wrong way, and it could mess up your comprehension. I'm in, Barbara. Yeah, I'll take you up on that. Like I said, it's probably not going to happen until November 8th, because right now, like even just calling people, I've been lacking in that. Like, I'm supposed to call you at this time, that time. I have been so busy and so tired. It won't be till like November 8th. I'm going to do one last freeing act in the Rising after the live. And it'll be the first time that I won't have to be like, I have to travel for all these little things behind the scenes, or learn this, or do this, or study this, or, do this stuff. And a lot of it's taking me, I thought it was going to help us, but it seems like that promise that I made is actually hurting and hindering. Not even seems like, it's hurting and hindering the call, and it's just allowing me to be in a place that I don't want to get to. You guys have seen me before where I've just had to tap out for a week or so because I've been so mentally drained or spiritually drained, or just sometimes sick, literally sick, because I'm overworking myself. So I'm thankful, I'm grateful. That's what I'm talking about. That's the target date for me, November 8th, because once that day hits, I know I'm going to be able to be, from that point on, I'll be open again, and I'll be able to serve again. I'll be able to see my family, like, on a regular basis. Like, my family barely sees me. Like, my family sees me a little more than what you see. And that's out of order at this point, right? So, and all that stuff. But I know we need to travel. I know. Thank you, Sister Tracy. I'm going to write you guys down. And like I said, just give me a couple weeks. I'm going to probably need a couple days after that to just kind of rest and relax a little bit and kind of get my bearings back and make sure that I'm kind of flowing with what my wife needs to flow me and flow where she needs me to flow, and all these different things, and start getting back to projects around the house and different things like that. But, we're definitely going to be on the road. We're definitely going to be traveling. We've done it with some of you. Some of you know, like, hey, we're coming through. Is it okay if we stop by, for a couple hours here or there? Like, I've told people, like, I might crash. I might, because I'm going to be doing the driving. Or excuse me, see, I messed up. We don't drive, we travel. I'm going to be doing the traveling right behind the wheel. And I might show up, give you some hugs and stuff, fellowship a little bit, and I might be knocked out on the couch, and you might get the fellowship with my family, right? However, we're going to get back to that, because there's no way that we have all these people living in the same places, and yet none of these people are coming together for fellowship. So we got to work on that. we need to work on that. We need to work on different things like that. Might even someone to think my son, he wants a, y'all pray for us and all these things, that the vision that my family has, we have amazing visions. My son, he wants like an RV, but hey, if we, it might come to that. Like maybe we need to look at doing something where we get something like that so that we can travel and we can be about Yah's business all the time. And that's just what we do. We can have land and stuff like that, but we can always have a place to go. We can go over to places and just say, hey, we're going to be in this part of town. If you guys want to meet up with us, we might need somebody to drive us because we don't have the car. We don't feel like doing a rental car thing, but we'll drive over to where you are. And we'll just start doing it on a regular basis. I don't know what the vision, like, I just know that that's something that the Most High has shown me. Like before we even get the land, we should already be pursuing fellowship. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm on. So, we'll start looking up dates. Remember, we're trying to do the baptism thing too. That's the thing for fellowship. And when we do baptism, that doesn't just have to be I show up for one weekend and we do baptism and then I run out real quick, right? Like that can be, I'm going to be there for a week. I'm going to be there for 2 weeks. Can somebody help us out and allow us to be hosted somewhere? And by the way, is that what not, see, I'm trying to take my leave, but we got to just speak with this Holy Spirit speaking. Is that not what Yashra'al did? Is that not what he told his disciples to do? He sent them out 2 by 2. And he didn't say, I'm going to put money in a purse for you, and you take that purse with you, fellas. Or ladies, because there were ladies that went out too. Right? Okay, I see you, Tracy. No problem, right? He didn't say no. He said, look, I'm going to send you out amongst wolves, the sheep, but I'm going to protect you. And he said, people are going to host you when you get there. If they don't host you, he said, you wipe the dust off your feet. You keep it moving. But he sent them out. He said that there's going to be people that are going to take care of you. Yashra'al, when he went somewhere, he wasn't going to his own places that he owned. He said, I'm going to go out. So I'm going to step, like I said, there's some things we're going to step out on faith in. And we see you guys out there. We know you guys are ready for this. We know you guys, some of you guys have been telling us this for years. Some of you for months now. Like, hey, come by, do this. Like, we'll meet up with you. Just tell us when, we'll do what we have to do. We'll travel a couple hours. We don't mind, right? Like, and we need to start doing those things. We've been talking about going to New York for about 1.5 years now, and I'd be right at the border of New York, but I don't stay over there, right? Like, we need to, and we have somebody who's told us straight up, like, hey, if you come by, you got a spot up here. Like, you just tell me when you're coming, and I'll make sure you and your family are good. You got the master bedroom, all that. Like, I'll sleep on the couch, and I'm thankful and grateful. Matter of fact, I had to take that up because I don't want my wife and I necessarily sleeping on the couch or whatever, or my wife specifically. I'd like for her to sleep in the bed. I don't mind sleeping on floors and stuff like that. But these are the things that we have to start believing in, and a lot of that's on me. So I got to be more diligent in that, and like I said, pursuing the promises. That stuff on me as somebody leading an environment that I have to become a greater leader in, right? There's only one way. He showed us the way, but we don't believe. We're like, oh, okay, get all this stuff. And so, well, why not in the meantime, while you're getting your land together, you can still travel and you can still be accommodated and you can still be fed, and you have to have faith in the process, right? Have faith that if you will, have the faith the size of a mustard seed, right? But have the faith, plant the faith that if you decide to leave out with $500, even though we have more, but I'm just saying, let's say Yah says that you have $500 to drive and take care of food and stuff on the way to somewhere, and on the way back, have faith that there's somebody out there who will make sure that you and your family will be taken care of for everything else because they love you as family. Yeah, like Moses, oh, wow, that's a great example, Sister Tracy, because Moses was out there dealing with the same stuff I'm dealing with and not meeting all the requirements, and his daddy, his stepdaddy, his father-in-law had to come to him and say, Moses, you tripping, thinking you're going to do all this stuff by yourself. Like, it can't be all on you. You got to have somebody to go to. And you're right, Sister Tracy, that's a great example. Thank you, Sonia, I appreciate it, So, 36 minutes from Philadelphia, but live in New Jersey, you have space, I'm in. Yeah, so if we say something, so I've mentioned it before, but usually we have the spot taken care of, and we might have spots taken care of. But if I mention, I say, hey, we're coming to it, and I think what we need to do, maybe in some of these lives, let's utilize some of these lives or maybe we need to have some, what let's do, because the lives are more so for the discussions we have and the teachings, but maybe we need to have some regular stuff on Zoom, some meetings, from time to time, once a month, twice a month, something like that, once we get to November. And we can start having meetings and saying, hey, you know, we'd like to do this and this and this. And this is the time frames we're looking at doing this and this and this. And who's willing to do, like, we already know for like the baptism thing for people that are going to be around like North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, we kind of had that forming. But for the other ones, let's get together. Hey, we'd like to be able to do baptisms. This is the area we'd like to do this in, this in, this in, this in. Who can help? You know, who can help with this? You know, who can help us with finding a spot? Who can help us with knowing that, you know, going to talk to somebody and just financially figuring out what is it that we need to make sure we come with as a community to take care of this? Who can help with this, right? Who can help with paperwork, even legal paperwork? Somebody gave us a great idea behind the scenes as far as something that might make it more comfortable for people to give. You know, a lot of different things like that, right? So we'll work on those things. But these are things that we need to, you know, I just need help with at this point. I'm just being honest. And like I've said before in some of these things, I'm trying to do so many different things. We are trying to do so many different things. And I think because at first, before we started getting ministers on staff to help up with some teaching and some other people, but we need people to use their gift. And like I said, I'm a koheleth in over a kodeschim, and when we say koheleth, we don't mean church. It means assembly. We don't mean ecclesia. We mean assembly. Assembly means people, and so the koheleth is over the assembly. In other words, the koheleth is the assembler of the assembly. I'm not necessarily supposed to be in charge of everything at all. I'm supposed to assemble people who can lead together in an assembly, and we all are necessary, right? The brain might be. Some people would say the brain is the most important part of the body, right? But the pineal gland is necessary for the brain too. And the pineal gland is great and everything, but if the heart stops beating, then you're going to have issues. And the heart is very necessary, but if the lungs don't breathe, you're going to have problems. And if the lungs don't breathe, the lungs can breathe fine. But, you know, if all of a sudden you have calcium deficiency and vitamin deficiency because you have vitamin D deficiency, and therefore you're not getting enough sun, you can collapse and your body won't move, even if your lungs are breathing fine, right? And your mind still works. So we just need to, we need to do this, but I just need to be better as far as faith. I'm talking about faith and all these things. Sometimes that's why I say when you speak in this stuff, you speak to yourself first. And it's you know, there's one way, and I got to make sure I'm doing that one way. So those are things that will be happening. Like I said, so just pray. We're coming up on the last bit of stuff that we're doing, going through even some personal things, but we're in a much better place than we were last time when people try to do a lot of wild stuff just behind the scenes. And so, you know, we legally know a lot more, and we're more sovereign than we've ever been, and we have a greater mindset, and we know what's necessary to accomplish certain goals and all these things. So we're great on those things, and we're thankful. And it's just a sign that's coming up. Like I'm saying, November 8th, that's why I'm not surprised anymore. Whenever it's time for us to go to another level, I'm not surprised that all of a sudden TikTok wants to take us off. All of a sudden YouTube wants to take us off. All of a sudden people are coming at my event. Like that's something that happens on a normal basis. It used to be before it would crush us or have us fighting and things like that. Now it's just got us in a place where it's like, yeah, this is kind of what comes with the territory. Now, though, we do have a family that we can depend on to help us to continue to flow, even in the midst of all this wild foolishness that happens to us. You guys are there consistently. And I think not only should we trust you, but I guess the word that can be used is to reward. We should reward you guys. We're saying like, hey, like we want to put this in your hands. Hey, we would like to be able to trust you with this. Hey, you know, we trust you. You know, you've trusted us with your family, and you've trusted us with these teachings, and you trusted us with what we've given you. Some of you we've given financial stuff to. Some of you we've given coaching to. Some of you we've been in your area and stopped by and given you some hugs when you needed it or whatever. Like, you know, maybe it's time for us to get the same back. And you give us a lot of love back. Don't get what I'm saying twisted, but I'm just saying, you know, now it's time for us to say we can trust you too. And that's okay. And I can take my hands off of stuff and say, yeah, you know what? Like, I can trust this. If I come to the D, I know there's some people in D that got me. If I come to H-Town, I know some people that got me. If I go to Florida, I know there's some people that got me. You know, if I go to New York, I know there's some people that got me. If I'm in the DMV, I know there's some people that got me. If I'm in the Carolinas, I know there's some people that got me. If I'm in Missouri, I know there's some people that got me. If I'm in Indiana, Illinois, I know there's some people that got me, right? And to start, believing in it, because it's not even just that some of you are new to it or whatever. I'm talking about some of you have been there for years now, or for a year, or for months, but been very consistent in these 6, 7, 8 months. Some of you, at this time, it's time for us to, definitely with you, big brother. Big brother Thomas, for real. We know you got us, right? And we even got family up there, by the way, that would drop everything and make sure that we were taken care of. So it's just time for us to start moving in that. We got people in Cali. It's time for us to just start moving and believing. And that's part of the goal, is to make sure that we are connected and we're regularly seeing stuff. So we, why not have faith in that? Why not believe? And even sometimes just be outright with it. That's some of that we'll do because of them trying to shut down on our social media stuff. Some of this stuff we'll have to have these meetings on, but we might have to have a meeting. Maybe we should, I don't know, maybe we should set it up. Y'all contact me, or even in the other lives that we're going to have coming up. I really got to take my leave now because it's getting up there in time. But y'all contact me, text me, email us, set up a call on the lives, put in the comment section, whatever. Tell me what you guys think. Maybe we should have a meeting once a week. It won't start till, I say November 15th, because November 8th is when I finally have a chance to breathe some. But maybe November 15th. We don't have to do it on Monday, but I'm just saying somewhere in that week. Or maybe on Shabbat, now that I have free time. Maybe on Shabbat, right after the Shabbat Shalom podcast. Maybe we go directly into a Zoom. Maybe we call it a Shabbat Shalom Zoom. And right after the podcast, we can go straight into here, because this is what people do with their organizations, right? We should be doing the same thing. So maybe we can just have having regular meetings. This is where our status is. You guys can ask questions. You guys say, what's going on with finances? You guys say, what's the goal or the vision for this? I can come out and say, here's what we have. We can show you what it is. Some things we can't show to everybody, but, we'll make sure we're as transparent as humanly possible, or even like organizationally possible. We can have people making sure that legally we're doing, we'll make sure that, hey, bounce some stuff off. We got some of you that work in the legal fields or whatever. So, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about these dates? And even be honest sometimes about, look, I might need help. Like, if we're going to do, like, maybe I'm supposed to be in this place and that place because, we're focusing on building something in this part of Texas. We're focused on building something in this part of Georgia. We're focused on building something in the DMV, in Chicago, et cetera, et cetera. And so maybe I might need help. I might be like, look, I'm going to be short. I'm coming out of pocket for this. I'm coming out of pocket for this. I don't want to touch stuff that we have in SOC stuff. So I might be short like $200-300 this time, because I don't want to dip into my savings like that. Like, is somebody, maybe we can say, hey, within these certain weeks, would you guys be willing to help us with $200-300? And we promise, we'll make sure it's shown. We'll give receipts. We'll have receipts set aside, all that stuff, or something you can track or trace. Like, we only use it specifically just to get from point A to point B because we needed the help. Like I said, like, let's start depending on each other. And even in these meetings, it might be stuff that you guys need. I'm trying to start this, or my children are dealing with this in the hospital. We got a sister that's dealing with stuff in a nursing home situation where they're doing her dirty. So I'm doing research, but right now, at least until November 8th, I can't really do what I'm supposed to do. Somebody else might be able to, I might be able to just give instructions. They say, I don't know what to do, but I can help. Okay, cool. Just go here, look on this website, go to Google Scholar, look up these types of cases, look for this state, blah, blah. Can you at least give me the information? If you can give me the information, because I don't have time to get the information, maybe I can do something else with it, right? Like, just little things like that, it helps us, right? Somebody might be saying, I'm having a tough time with finances. Okay, we hear you. Can anybody who's on now, anybody who's willing, I don't even want you to say, I don't want you to do a pledge. We don't want you to do the public thing like we do in churches. Well, does anybody, the Lord told me everybody's got to, if you're worth blah, 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 you better give $100. We're not going to do that. But hey, let's put it out here. Contact us at this number. Let us know if you're willing to help. If you're willing to help, we need to give it to so-and-so. You don't even have to give it to our Cash App. We'll find out what their Cash App is, all right? And you just bless them with whatever you can give them, right? Like, those are things we can do. And I haven't been, like I said, I haven't been in a position, and sometimes recently, just the last 6 months or so, I just haven't had the time. Now that the time is coming up and we still have time to pursue the promises, right? So we can live in these promises next year. These are things we can set up, and that's not hard at all. So you guys tell me what you think about that. Contact me, text me, whatever. Just let me know, hey, I think we should do a weekly meeting, maybe once a month, maybe every 2 weeks. These are the times that I'd be available, things like that. Because remember, we still have our classes in the evening. We still have our live sessions. We still have other things, but maybe on Shabbat Shalom right after the live, right? We can just say, hey, everybody's on, starting at 9:15 a.m. Eastern or whatever. We might move it back to 10 a.m. Eastern when I get the free time. But, let's say it goes back to 10 a.m. Eastern and right after the live, so we do it from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Maybe give everybody a chance to go get something to eat. Or maybe we just have it set up because we should already have our food and stuff and everything prepared anyway. So we are prepared every time right after Shabbat Shalom. We come together as family on the Zoom and we just have conversation and we can eat and talk and speak to each other, things like that, So I think that will be a blessing, So thank you to you all, though. I must take my leave. Thank you for those who listened to the whole thing. I know we kind of took care of some business on here, but sometimes, like I said, I need to be greater at that. And I'm only 39. I've only really been in a pastoring position, I guess, officially since, not assistant pastor, but a pastoring position, since 2014. I'm still young. I'm still growing. I'm still getting out of a system that tells me in a church that you shouldn't be asking for these things, or you should only ask for them to make sure that the pastor and the musician get paid, or certain things. Like, I'm still coming into my own and what Yah tells me I should be. And so I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for your patience. Thank you for that. Our prayer, of course, is that you not only be hearers of the word that we talked about, but doers as well. We're thankful to everybody on all these different platforms. We will have our Brothers in Black October 30th. So if you're going to be on with us, we'll be sending the link out Friday and Saturday. If you don't receive it Saturday, I'd say by 7 o'clock or so. Make sure that you let us know because we're going to start at 8. So you should be able to get these links and things throughout the day on Friday and Saturday. We'll also be sending out Zoom link for those of you who want to have your children on, or for Sunday, October 31st. And we will actually be dealing with Hallows Eve or Halloween, and we'll also talk to the children. That'll be at 7 o'clock p.m. So we'll have both those Zoom sessions ready to go for you all. So be ready for both those. The links will be sent out for both those. If you don't get them Friday, Saturday, Sunday, well, if you don't get it by, let's say, by the end of Friday evening, feel free to start going ahead and texting me saying I want both links or I want one link or whatever the case is. I'll try to just send them out to everybody like we used to do when I had more time. I try to just send the links out to everybody. And even little things like that we're working on. I know I believe it was Chef, had helped me out with something a long time ago, and I never had time to really get into the system that she sent me and stuff, but we've had things in the place, but I just haven't had the time. So now that I have more time, I'll be able to, I'm not going to be able to, let me just promise you, I promise. Kofi saying, I promise. I am looking you in the face and saying, I promise I will be greater at making sure that I delegate and that I trust. Right? Because you guys have shown that you're worthy of not just a little trust, but full trust in many different areas. I promise that I will trust you the way that you have trusted me. And and my prayer is, and my request is of you, is that you continue to trust me as I show that I continue to deserve your trust. If I do something that shows you shouldn't trust me, call me out on it. I have no problem with that. Some of you know that already. You've called me out. You said, be better at this, do this. Why are you doing this? And I have no problem, right? I'll discuss it with you. Sometimes I agree I can be better, and that's it. Sometimes I say we can't really do this, but I at least tell you what my thinking is, right? But what I promise you is that I will trust you more. And all I'm asking is that you continue to trust me as I show that I'm following the Most High. And I believe if we do that, we can continue to pursue the promises, and next year live in what we pursue. I like that. That might have to be it for next year. We're going to live. This is our year to live in what we pursue. I like that. That might be it. I'm going to talk to my wife and I'm going to have her pray about it. Y'all pray about it too. I like that. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all. So thank you for taking out your time. Thank you for being supportive. Thank you for coming and finding us even when we've been taking off other platforms. We really, really, really appreciate you. And we look forward to doing a lot of great things with you. We're going to leave it right there. So thank you. As always, it's been Pastor Kofi. aka the Shadow being one, pastor servants of Christ. We're always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice to the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Please take time out to follow my wife, the Honorable Maya. You can find her at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, but the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. And you can follow her on TikTok, YouTube, and her website. So we know, start week of November, not only we're looking at finally mailing off a bunch of stuff that we're way behind off on paperwork wise, but also we're looking forward to making sure that we also have updates to the website. All the dates and everything are found on the website, but we want to make sure there's more information. We want to make sure that it's easier for you to see how much money is in the pot concerning Yah's land project, all these different things. So we'll start making those things available the closer we get. People who are looking for letters and things like that, if you haven't received them already, they should be on your way now. We already have everything. It's stacked, ready to go, packed and everything. We're just waiting to send it out to you, okay? So thank you so much. And thank you all. You mean so much to us. You mean so much to the Most High. And I appreciate you listening in and following and finding Kofi. Not following Kofi, excuse me, finding Kofi. We don't have followers. We have community. We have family. So we appreciate you. Thank you. So the 31st, you said 31st, October 31st. Remember, every last Sunday of every month, we do a special session where my wife and I come on. Well, this Sunday, we're going to make sure that we have, we're going to talk about in our special session Halloween, since Halloween falls on the last Sunday. And we're going to do a Zoom and live. So we'll be live on TikTok again. We'll be on Kofi_42 again. But we'll also be on live on Zoom as well. And so that if you want your children to participate, like our son Solomon, like you're not supposed to have your children on TikTok live, but we will allow him to be on YouTube, and we'll also allow him to be on the podcast, and we'll also allow him to be on Zoom. So if you like your children to come on and talk with us and speak with us about Hallows Eve, and if it's challenging or for them to hear a word or to do certain things like that, that's what we're talking about for the 31st. That'll be at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time. Not to be confused with October 30th. That's the Brothers in Black. That will be 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time, right after Shabbat ends, okay? So we'll go right after Shabbat into talking about something for the brothers. Amen. Amen. All right? So thank you so much. And as always, remember that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, we shall be the reason this world changes for the better, bare minimum. We'll be the reason why people who are in the system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Talk to you later. Peace.